So back in June, I took you on a tour of my absolutely chaotic sewing space. And in that video, I explained my three-step approach I was taking to completely clean that room out and transform it into an inspirational and functional creative space. Now, the first part of my plan was to fix my storage because, hey, look at it. It was bad. 5 months on, I can confidently say that I've finished stage 1 at last. I can't believe it's 5 months. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I've transformed my hectic sewing storage into organized bliss. So let's go check it out. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate and this is Ripper Seams. So yes, today is all about sharing with you phase 1 completion of my sewing space, and I'm pretty happy with it. I will officially draw a line under phase 1 of my sewing room transformation because I think it's pretty much 99% there. A few little things going on, but I think that's an ongoing project which is never going to finish. So if I wait for that, you're not going to get a video, but I'll show you where I am now because at the moment my sewing room has transformed, my ability and desire to sew has been transformed, and I'm pretty happy with the result. Obviously, I've got phase 2 and 3 also to complete, and I'll explain that at the end of the video, what's next on the plan, but I'm sure you're very eager to have a look to see what I've done. Like I said, it's phase 1, and that was all about this whole entire wall here is wall-to-wall storage. It's sliding doors, it's mirrored. I hate the fact that it's mirrored, but it does make the room look a bit bigger. But in there, from my original video, you can go watch it here. I'll put the links down below to go see what this looked like originally. This whole entire wall space here is all wardrobe space and mainly hanging space. It was good storage for clothing, but even for clothing, it wasn't the best storage either. So I don't know, whoever installed these obviously had a purpose for it. Their purpose is not my purpose, so I have decided to transform it. So what I have done is I've gone and taken a look at the space. I made a list of all the things I wanted to contain in there. I drew a little really rough and ready sketch, and then I kind of just mapped out exactly where I thought I might want things. And I put all that together and I came up with a plan of how many new shelves I wanted to put in there and what other storage solutions I might need. The other thing you have to take in mind is you have to get rid of stuff. As I get older, I'm definitely better of saying, I'm just not going to use that. So many black bags of stuff exited out of this room, gave things out to people and organizations that could make better use of it than what I can. And that actually left me with very little to actually chuck out, which was great. Now, whilst I've only had this finished for the past month, where everything is sitting now is actually working really, really nicely. Now, yeah, I think I've got it right. It's given me the flow that I need. I can access everything. I know where everything is, but I suppose the best thing to do is actually show you what it looks like. So before I dive into the big reveal, I wanted to share some of the process that got me here, in hope that it inspires some of you to tackle your own sewing space if that's what you need. First, I prioritized completely emptying the wardrobe to see exactly what I had. I seriously couldn't believe how much was crammed into these shelves. But in our household, we have a saying that you've got to make a mess to clean up, so I made a massive mess. I took everything out, grouped items by category, and then got serious about editing every single pile. I was in full-on Marie Kondo and Swedish death cleaning mode. Ruthless. Next, it was time to clean and prep for painting. I tackled the wardrobe section by section, removing all the shelves to make painting easier and so I could reposition them as part of my new plan. Now, I was really eager to paint these back walls because that pink was simply not working for me. I wanted a calm and grounding colour, so I chose this beautiful bamboo green. And because I can't resist a touch of sparkle, I added this fine gold glitter specifically designed for mixing with paint. This way, every time I opened the sliding doors, I would catch a glimpse of magic and it would make it more inviting to leave those doors open. Because I spent way too much time hiding messes behind closed doors, it was time to celebrate being organised. So with my trusty sidekick, I made my way around every single wall, and after 3 coats, the painting was complete. Now, that glitter doesn't photograph very well, but trust me, these walls look amazing in person. Really, really glittery. So I spent a lot of time measuring to make sure all the studs were in the right place and every shelf was level, and yeah, job done. So let's go see how it all turned out. All right, I am in tour guide mode, so let's go show you what is new in my sewing room. Okay, here we are back in my room. Lots of things to talk about here. Hello, there is a wall-to-wall mirror. So that's the storage. This is what we're going to talk about shortly, and I'll go through those cupboards. Here we have got a ironing station, which I've created. In the last video, I actually had a set of drawers here. Those drawers have been moved on. I've now put them in my daughter's room because she can make better use of it than me. But it was just crammed full of stuff, random stuff, which didn't need to be there. So I've got rid of that and I've put in the sewing station. So this is an IKEA trolley, which I actually had in this room before, but I've now made it a sewing station. So I've got one of those little mini ironing boards kind of put on the top here, which I have covered with my Chula pink fabric, the same as my main ironing board. I've got a little mini iron there. It actually tucks away underneath that ironing board. And under here, I've also got my key sewing essentials. So we've got sewing needles, we've got machine accessories, we've got bobbins and threads, rulers, things that you kind of need to grab quite quickly. So that's in there. Down the bottom, I've actually put my hairdryer and a few hair things, which are, yeah, just really handy having those things accessible because everyone in the family uses them. So I've popped them there so no one has to go hunting for them. Barbara is in here. She comes and sits behind me here. She has currently got half of a transat dress on. I finished the bodice the last couple of nights, and on the ironing board here, I've actually got the skirt section, which is half done. Hopefully on the weekend, we will be putting these two together. Here I've got a little bag of goodies, which is all my current works in progress or about to make. So you'll see from my last video, I've got my Arica hoodie fabric here. I've got a few other things which I'm making for a gift for November. I've got some patterns to cut out. So this is just quick access storage for the next things we're going to make. So that's what's going on here. Back of the door, I've just got some shirts which need mending, which might have been here in the last video, but I have my yoga stuff here. This is actually a guest bedroom, and this is the bed for our guests. This is the bed space. I've got some fabrics here, which turned up today. I got some fabric here from Rainbow Fabrics. They had a great sale on over the weekend. And I've got some fabric for, again, make a gift for November. Big light here. I'll come back to that. So over here is my desk space. This is where I edit all my YouTube videos, but mainly I work from home 4 out of 5 days a week, and this is where I sit. I've got a view out the window here, but this is also where I have my sewing machine as well. It's a pretty good setup with this L shape. Now the only drawback is I have my overlocker, which also has to fit on here. Normally this gets pushed off to the side, so I have it kind of on the end bit, but I do have a solution for that going forward, but I'll get into that a bit later. So yeah, this is my desk space. This is where I do all my sewing. It's great because I'm actually facing out of the room towards the door, so anyone who comes in, I can just talk to them straight away. So it's a very sociable room. I like this setup just purely because I do have quite a lot of space here. I've got a lot of floor space now, much better than I used to. It makes the room feel bigger already. And I've actually been able to lay out fabric and cut out my pattern pieces, which has just been brilliant. So yeah, so far this configuration is good. It is going to get better in phases 2 and 3. Also under my desk, I had heaps of stuff. I had baskets and all sorts of things crammed under here. It's all gone. I've got my sewing machine feet here. They're just left there at the moment because I did do some sewing last night. I've just kind of left them there. I'm planning to do some more later on. So yes, that's there. And I've got space for a dog bed. My dogs like to sit and hang out with me. So yeah, we've got that. So that leaves us with these cupboards here. So let's take a look. Let's start with this one here. It is the biggest one, and let's see what's inside. Right, here we go. Let's take a wide shot here. So this is my main bit of storage. This is my absolute go-to spot. So this is my fabric stash. I have been able to get most of my fabrics in this space here. So I have folded them all so I can see exactly what I've got. There is some sort of semblance of order in there. I'm not going to be too pedantic about it, but I know roughly what's in there. I can see it, and if I can't see it, I know it's there because I've got it all in my stash hub. So it is all neatly folded so I can find things. I feel like I'm shopping. I come in here and I feel like I'm shopping my stash, and I can see all the wonderful, beautiful fabrics. So because my fabric stash is quite stagnant, I'm not kind of going through it all the time. I do have a few little things in the front here which are also just regular grab and goes. So they're things which are just constantly in use. In regards to my fabrics, I have got my jersey fabrics up here. So I've got all my lovely jerseys. Over here we've got a bit of linen at the top, but I've got some slightly more fancier knits going on here. Here I've got some flannels, which I got from Joann's in the US, and here we've got some viscose chalets. I'm actually going to deep store these ones here to the back. This one's definitely a summer fabric, a spring summer fabric, so that one's going to move. This one here could possibly get used, but at the moment they're just sitting there. Now in this section here, I have all my favorite fabrics I'm more likely going to use in the near future, or ones I want to use. So I've got mainly viscose chalets here and some linens, all my favorite ones here. I've got some darker cottons going on here and also some viscose, a bit of linen up here. You might recognize some of these from last week's video. And then we've got a lot of my very bright and very fun fabrics going on here, which I absolutely love, and I just love seeing them there. So they're my fabrics. This little guy here is actually one of my wool keepers for when I do my knitting, but at the moment he's actually looking after some zips and some cords, stuff which I'm going to need in some projects in the very near future. So they're kind of there because I know where to find them. I've got some dies hanging out here. Obviously my measuring tape, scissors, pins, and my all essential sewing bag here, which has got everything I need. This is good. This is actually a folder to keep my sewing labels in. I'll open that up in a minute and show you what's going on here. I have my Kylie and the Machine advent calendar, which a couple of weeks away from starting to open that. I have been very good. I haven't opened it yet. I do like having an advent calendar. Oh, and here I've got some comic book boards here. This is what I actually use as the core for my fabrics to keep them neat and tidy and in the same size. So I kind of just neatly wrap my fabrics around those, fold them around, and that way I can fit them all in this shelf perfectly. So next up we have my machine. So this is the area where I keep my machines when I want to hide them away. This is where my main machine goes. That's the cover for it that I've got in there. Here is my overlocker, sitting nicely there. It's at a good height too, so I don't have to bend my back when I have to lift them from the desk over here. It pretty much goes from one place to the other. Then I've got these storage baskets, which I absolutely love. I've actually used these baskets elsewhere in the house, and when I was putting together this space, I knew straight away that this is what I wanted to use because it looks really good, it's a really good size, and you can get a lot of them in the space. The ones I've got on this level here are YouTube. This is a basket I grab constantly. It has my microphones in it, it has my data storage, it has everything I need to make YouTube videos effectively, so that's there, easy grab. Next up we have machine accessories. These are my machine feet, my instruction booklets. That one's there with the machines. They're all in a logical place. Right, next up this shelf here is probably my favorite space out of the lot. They're all my haberdashery items, and I love it because I know where to put things when I get them. So we've got a basket for elastics, so that's every type of elastic that I've got, it all lives in there. I've then got quilting cottons because I do have a nice assortment of those, mainly fat quarters, maybe some bigger pieces. Anything to do with quilting tends to go in there. Next up I've got sewing tools. So these are just random things that you use for sewing. So things like my tube turners and crazy sewing tools that you've got, they all live in there. Interfacing, that's a whole entire basket of interfacing in there. So that is my woven, non-woven interfacing, stretch interfacing, anything that irons on, it's all in there. Next up we've got buttons and bias tape. So I know every time I get some bias tape or buttons, I've got so few zips in there as well. So they all have a place. I know where to put them. They're not randomly tossed around the room. And finally is some large thread spools. So that's everything I need for my overlocker goes in there. These are probably the most accessed baskets out of this whole entire storage, and I love it because I'm a messy person. I will just put things down, but because everything's labeled, I know exactly where it's going to go. Yeah, it's great. I love it. I've got these labels I actually got off Amazon. They just hook over the edge. I've used a white Posca pen just to write on what's inside. Really, really easy, quite effective. Now, the bottom shelf here is a fun one. This is where we start getting into my pattern storage. So we've got two whole entire baskets full of indie patterns, but there is quite a lot of room inside. So I can actually easily flick through. At the moment, they are all in alphabetical order. By supplier, not so much by pattern, but at least I know that all my style archive ones are in one place, Friday Pattern Company's in one place, and I can make my way through. So two baskets full of indie patterns here, which are all ones I've printed out. Over here I've actually got a whole heap of bags which are items which are works in progress in some form or other. So I'm keeping everything in place together. So I have got fabric in there, I've got pattern pieces, I've got threads, anything to do with a particular project I've got in one of these little bags, zip bags, so they're safe in there, and it's kind of in that pile. That is what we've got going on. The only thing I haven't done is that top section. That top section is technically organized, but it does need to be reviewed. There's some things in there that don't need to be there, but the main section here where my fabric storage is and my machines. That is the most important bit, and it's working. I absolutely love it. So that is section number 1. Woo. Next up, we'll go through over here, the one on the right hand side. More storage going on. So yeah, this section was a fun one because in the original cupboard configuration, there was actually a divider in this section here. So there was like a really thin section kind of here and a slightly wider one. There was hanging space here, all sorts of tiny shelves here. It was quite a useless bit of storage. I couldn't really figure out why it was configured like that. So as a result of painting that back wall, I was able to figure out that, yeah, that all could come out. Changed my plans a little bit because I already ordered the shelves to replace what was in there. But when the opportunity came to actually make a better use of this space, I just had to suck it up, order some new shelves. And yeah, here we are. So what we've got going on here, up the top here, I have got my fabric scraps. So like little, this is more remnants. I wouldn't say, I'll probably need to rephrase that because that says fabric scraps. I mean remnants are mainly in there because I got rid of all my fabric scraps. I actually gave them to the school because they really needed them. Got a few arty things here, which is just have decoration really. But there is my bias tape maker. There is my Primvario tool. They're a bit bigger. I can just go up and grab those from up there. Behind those two things, there's actually another couple of baskets in there. These are these black fabric cube baskets, which are a bit more traditional. And behind there is just some paperwork, which I need to store. So some point in the very near future, that's going to become a vacant space. And yeah, we can utilize that for something else. And next up, we have got my A5 pattern storage. So this is mainly my storage for my big 4 patterns. So I've got 4 of these containers here. Now I have absolutely combed the internet and all the stores around me to try and find the perfect storage for my A5 patterns, and this is what I came up with. These are some storage things I got from EuroOffice, which I think is the store here, and these are just spot on. So they fit all the A5 patterns in there nicely on a slight tilt. So I have got them organized by supplier, and then I am just easily flip through those to find what I want when I go through those. So I've got 2 boxes of current A5 patterns that I've got from the big 4s. In this one here is actually all vintage patterns which I have collected over time. So I've picked up some from all various places, but they're all in there. So I decided to keep them separate just so I knew they're ones which I won't access as frequently as these ones at the top. So that's those ones in there. And this box here is actually all the indie patterns which are in paper format or slightly kind of in a different format to what I would normally use. So they're all in there. Plus I've also got quite a few patterns in there which have come from magazines, which I've decided to keep them separate from up here because they're ones which I kind of have temporarily. I think if I really, really love them, I'll keep them, but often I'll give those off to my socials swap table. So yeah, so anyway, this is all my A5 pattern storage, and it fits beautifully in this space. I've got a bit of room here. If I'm using stuff, I can just rest it on there, and then when I'm ready, I can just store them back in there. Next up, we have got a couple of more storage things here. These are just general crafty bits. I have run out of labels. I need to get some more, but this is just general crafty stuff. So that's what's going on here. This is a bag full of snacks, because who doesn't need a bag full of snacks in your cupboard? This is a practical space for me. This is where all my hair and makeup stuff goes. Because I've got a big mirror here, I've got natural light. This is somewhere where I can just grab my stuff, sit at my table, do my hair and makeup. Girly stuff, you know. And then here is actually all my office stuff. So I've got a color printer hiding in here. There's the computer I do my editing on. I've got office essentials in there, which are generally like pens and staplers, paper clips, all that stuff's in there. Likewise, office accessories. So they're kind of more chunkier things. I've got spare printer ink behind there, a whole bunch of paper. So my printer is actually Wi-Fi. I could just turn it on and print from there, and it's hidden away. I love it. So down here is my old original Singer sewing machine, which is still very much active. It's here if my daughter wants to do some sewing with me, or God forbid my sewing machine breaks down or something goes on, I've got a backup here. I was going to go put it in the attic. I decided to keep it here just in case. Now in here I have some bulkier fabric. As my stash goes down, the plan is to have this as a bit more of a free, empty space. But we do have some chunky jerseys in here, stuff which is going to be disappearing in the next few months. It's organized chaos in this bottom section, and I'm okay with that. So there we go. That is the far corner here, and this has been working really nicely as well. So very happy with this storage. So last up is the storage on the left-hand side, and this one was the pure chaos last time I showed you, and it's not so much chaos anymore. Still quite busy, but a lot less so. So here we go. This is the one which has had the most amount of shelves put into it. But again, I know where everything is now. So this is more crafty stuff and other activities that I've got that aren't really sewing related. So over here I've got all my paper craft activities. I make cards, so I've got all my stamps that I use to make cards kind of sitting in there, all the kind of equipment and pens that I use to do that, inks that I use. Then we've got all my Copic markers as well. Now I do have some art books in here which I'm holding on to, but here are all my Copics. But these are all my sketchbooks, which I also want access to. So they're all in there. I've got some watercolor paints and things sitting in the background there. Here is actually all art materials. So I've got some paints, all sorts of markers and things also sitting in these boxes as well. There's actually 2 deep in there, and yeah, really, really useful. I am going to be getting some labels that kind of sit on this side so I can see it. I've kind of got it on the side there. It's a bit hidden. So down here we have got some more paper stuff. I've got my original silhouette sitting here. I do have a laminator here. I've got some clipboards as I need it. Just really, really good, useful stuff. And then down here is my big paper stash. We've got all sorts of pattern paper and card and stuff going on there. So again, it's kind of just fits in perfectly in this place, and it's in a clear container so I can actually see what's in there. Now on the other side, we've got all my vinyl stuff, which I need for my silhouette, is all sitting up there. I can see easily what I've got going on here and bits and pieces, so I can easily access it. I've got my color cubes here, which I use on a regular basis. And then coming down here, we have got embroidery stuff actually. So here are all my books at the moment. These all have to go downstairs to our bookcase, but these are all sewing magazines at the moment. I've got my books, which I reference. This is all to do with embroidery. So I've got cross-stitch embroidery threads in here. I've got kits and all sorts of things going on. Again, I need to put a label on them. This is actually going to move into the other section when I get a chance, but this is actually all nail polish. It's a weird little obsession of mine. I collect nail polish. It's all in there. And then down here, we've got more general crafty stuff. So these are more craft kits. We've got some crystals, which go in here. Got a pumpkin, which I ended up not using this Halloween, but we've got wood blanks here. We've got some things I can paint on, some cardboard here, which can be used. And then finally down here is my yarn stash. Anything to do with yarn, crocheting, knitting, all actually lives in here. Surprisingly, a small amount. I don't knit nearly as much as I used to. I do have some wool up in the attic or locked away, but that's small as well. So this is my current active yarn stash. Pretty happy with it. So that is that particular storage there. So yeah, that's a little bit more compact, but that's just the nature of where it is. Because I don't access that bit as much, I'm okay with that. Now, few things are actually coming into play here. This is some dot and cross paper because I'm going to do some pattern hacking. These are all my threads. I got this little thing quite early on the wall because great to have access to threads going on there. That's actually just a tripod just leaning up there. So yeah, there we go. So as you can see, this has transformed completely in regards to what I had before. I can see where everything is. When I finish with something, I know where to put it away. And it looks quite nice. I think I've coordinated the colors quite nicely. Now, my favorite bit is the back bit of my storage has been painted and it's got glitter right through it. So the light just hits it perfectly. And it's all beautiful and glittery. All right, so let's talk about phase 2 of my sewing room update. Now that I've got my storage organized, it is now time to do a little bit more decorating in here, making it a little bit more warm, a little bit more inviting, and that way we can then finally organize it with the other bits and pieces which I want in here. And that kind of brings me to what I've got on the walls here. When we first moved in here, we decided to neutralize everything and just painted everything white. All the walls and ceiling, everything got painted white. However, we have broken that rule with our new bathroom, and it's got this beautiful, deep, rich brown in it, and it's gorgeous. I kind of want to add that to this room. So over this whole entire 5 months, I've just been thinking about what I want to do to this room, and I think I've got a plan. So I've been looking for wallpaper samples, and all my shortlist is currently on this back wall here, just to see which one called out to me the most and kind of what was really nice and warm and friendly. Now I have actually picked one of these ones up here. I've decided that there is one that just instantly, as soon as I put it on the wall, was just perfect for what I wanted, tied everything together. So that's the one I'll be going for. We're going to put the wallpaper on the top half of the wall, and down below we're probably going to match it with the same color that we've got in our bathroom. So I thought we start introducing that color into the rest of the house. Everything will start coming together. Now to break those two up, I'm going to put a bit of decorative beading that kind of runs between the two around the walls. So that is my plan for phase 2. No idea when that's going to get done. I've got no ticking clock on it, but at least I know exactly what I'm going for. I'll most likely be testing the paint on the walls just to see what the color looks like during the day, but that's one thing and that's happening. Something a little bit more immediate is I've got a lovely big light to come in and to put on the ceiling. At the moment I have a really old, terrible halogen light fixture in here. It buzzes, it's just doesn't throw very nice light around. I've been dying to get rid of it ever since we've moved in here, which has been like over 4 years ago. So what I've done, I've been looking around trying to find the right light, but I thought, you know what, creative space, I want to be able just to have the light so I can just see everything. So what I've gone for is a bit unusual. I've gone for a really big panel light. It's an LED panel light, but it simulates having a skylight in the room. I thought having the skylight on might save me putting some spotlights on when I'm actually sewing. It's going to be coming right down at me and hopefully light up my space if I'm doing any cutting out, if I'm doing any sewing. That's the plan anyway. Currently sitting in a box on the bed in here, and yeah, that's hopefully going to be up within the next week. So another big update I'm going to do in the next week is actually organize my desk space a little bit better, and that means losing this big laptop. So at the moment this is a big standalone laptop. It's got its own keyboard at the front, but I actually use this one here, and I've got an extra monitor, so it's kind of like all doubled up. I don't need that. So my husband recently updated his work computer, and I'm going to inherit his old one, which is still a pretty good one. I'm going to put a box underneath my desk, which means having my overlocker kind of set up in this area is going to be a whole heap easier. So this is my most immediate update. I'm going to do the light and this computer space. Now, as a result of changing to this other computer, I'm actually going to change the software I edit my videos on, because I'm currently editing on a Mac. So I'm going to be switching to a PC-based editing software, which is going to have a very big learning curve for me. So I'm just going to put it out there now. If there's a slight delay to my video next week, or if it's a bit shorter than normal, which just means I'm doing a crash course on this new software, but it is going to be a learning curve. So yeah, watch this space to see how I go with that. It also means my videos might look a little bit different going forward, but that's just purely down to software. But yeah, that's an exciting thing for me. Get to learn something new, get to clean up my office space. Happy days. So there you go, that is the update to my sewing space, and I'm really, really happy with the results. Obviously, the way I've organized things are, for me, this is how I like to function. This is the space I've got, and I think I've done a good job of optimizing it and making it really efficient so I can find things and everything's got a place to go to. It's not perfect, and I don't think it will ever be perfect, because it is a kind of a living, breathing space. Things come in, things go out. It's a creative space. So if there's a creative space that isn't messy, I'd have to be questioning that big time. But at least I know that once I have been finished being creative, I can then do a pretty good cleanup job, and that was the aim. So let me know what you think. Did I do okay with actually transforming that space? Did you get any ideas for your own sewing space that you might want to utilize? Yeah, please do go and leave me a comment down below. Any other updates like the light, the computer configuration, I'll go and do some updates on Instagram as well. So please go and follow me over there on Instagram. You'll find me there as Ripper Seams, just like you do here on YouTube. And if you like this video, then please go and give me a thumbs up down below. It just lets me know that I'm doing a good job and I should keep making more videos just like this one. And while you're down there, and if you haven't already done so, then please do consider clicking on that subscribe button as well as that notification bell. That way you won't miss out on any future Ripper Seams videos. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure sharing this time with you. I wish you a wonderful week of sewing, and I'll see you in the next video.